So we're here in Nairobi with Germany's Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul, who's visiting the region. Mr. Wadephul, thank you for your time, for speaking to DW. So we're here in Kenya. There are so many powers here kind of vying for influence, vying for deals. You really feel it on the ground here. You have the Gulf states, you have the United States, and of course, most famously, China as well. You're here representing Germany. You say that you want German companies to come here, take the opportunities. Looking at it from the other side, what's your argument to the Kenyans that it's Germany that they should be doing business with and not so much the Chinese?
No, we were the first country to recognize the new Kenyan state in 1963, the year when I was born. And since then, we have a very long-standing relation with Kenya, very reliable relation. We're working together on various sectors. But of course, the room of enhancement is very huge, I would really say. In Germany, perhaps also as some other European countries, made the mistake to look to the north of Africa and to the south of Africa, and for a long time to oversee the opportunities which lay ahead here directly in Kenya and the neighboring countries. So we are reliable. We are sticking to the agreements we have made. The Kenyans know the Germans for a very long time, and for the future, we are with the international rules-based system. We are defending the United Nations, which have a big hub right here in Nairobi. So there are a lot of overlapping interests and values, and that is the very reason that I am advocating for more cooperation between our respective countries.
I mean, you've also talked, if we look more broadly at your foreign policy, you've talked about wanting to put interest front and center, and implicitly suggesting that it, values maybe a secondary, whereas for some of your predecessors, maybe values have been really up front. Sort of pragmatism rather than preaching, kind of in a sort of a short epithet. I want to ask about what that means kind of on the ground in this region, because of course it's a region that has faced many human rights issues, the kind of issues that Germany has been worried about in the past. I mean, does it mean that Germany is tempted to kind of turn a blind eye to human rights abuses when they do happen? I mean, for instance, here in Kenya, a year and a half ago, in 2024, there were these protests by young people, Gen Z protests, where there's a lot of dissatisfaction that there were abuses accused, that there has been insufficient justice meted out. Is this something that you raised with your counterparts, maybe not in public, but behind closed doors at least?
Of course I do. But somebody told us some months ago, if China comes to our region and we have a conversation afterwards, we have an airport. If you come from Germany or from Europe, we receive a lecture. So that cannot be the difference between the two of us. And that is the very deeper reason that we lose ground, especially here in Africa. So we have really to be careful. Of course, never be blind-eyed on human rights. We will always and ever be advocating for these humanitarian rights, for these basic laws which have to be obeyed. This is always clear for Germany. But we have always also to be able to define our interests and to be effective with countries who really are looking for partners with whom they can reach something for their society, for their economy, and of course also for strengthening democracy and human rights. So that has to go hand in hand, and my idea is for balancing out that in a new way, and to perhaps in these days be more pragmatic and be more focused on our common interests. And if we do so, I would say that also will serve in the end of the day that the countries who have a democratic orientation will be stronger than they were before.
One of the areas that Germany and Kenya are very focused on in terms of business cooperation is skilled labor.
Yeah.
And Germany is seeking to get skilled labor into many of its sectors. You were asked at the press conference earlier today, along with your Kenyan counterpart, if there are concerns about a brain drain. There's quite a debate going on about whether, if it goes too far, something like this export of skilled labour into developed countries such as Germany could cause a brain drain, is essentially resource extraction of a new kind. You said you're not worried about that, but are you conscious of that as a danger that people need to think about and, potentially adjust policy in the future?
Though I'm a lawyer, I'm looking to the numbers of people who are moving to Germany, and they are too low right now. We need more of them being willing to work in Germany or in other European countries, because Europe, and Germany especially, is overaged. We know that we need these skilled workers, and we know that we have to engage them to come into our countries. That means, of course, for the countries where they come from, that you have these very discussions, and I'm very aware of that happening. But if you really analyze how many are coming, this is far away from being a brain drain for this very country, as we see here very young societies which have birth rates we have had in Europe perhaps some 100 years ago.
Just before we finish, we're far from Europe, but I have to ask you a question about the burning issue this week. Yeah. Donald Trump's threats to annex Greenland. Speaking in Davos today, Donald Trump did say that he would not use force to take control of Greenland. When you hear that, what goes through your mind? Are you relieved to hear that from the US president?
No, I never expected that the United States would use force. You may know that I was in the last week for 2 days in Washington, had several conversations there, one with Marco Rubio. And the basic was that, of course, we will found together with the United States, Greenland and Denmark a solution in this high-level dialogue for what are the measures to be taken in order to meet the challenges we do see in the Arctic zone. And this is what Mr. Trump said in the beginning of the whole thing when we began this very discussion, that we have to encounter, of course, threats from Russia and from China. And he's right with that very argumentation. And perhaps the NATO framework is the one which we should use right now.
But did you ever think, the reason I'm asking this question is he did not rule it out until now. Did you ever think you would have an American president implicitly even using force against an ally to annex territory?
I didn't hear any formulation in the last weeks that implicitly would really mean that the United States could use force against a partner in our alliance. So he's very right in being focused on the security issues. We are with him, and we will find a solution in our alliance and not against each other.
Johann Wadephul, many thanks.
Yes, my pleasure.